You are listening to The Vocal Technologist. Spoken tech for your ears.
Have you ever stared at a product roadmap that looks less like a strategic plan and more like a, a buffet of random features nobody actually asked for?
Oh,
You
absolutely.
know the exact kind I mean. The one where every single stakeholder has just bolted on their own little pet project. And it has basically become this towering monument to corporate compromise.
It is a painfully familiar scenario for anyone working in tech. I mean, we have all been trapped in those alignment meetings where saying yes to every single request just feels like the only way to survive the hour.
Right, you just want to escape back to your desk.
Exactly.
But here's where I want to introduce a twist. Because looking through the research we pulled together to unpack this topic, something pretty wild is happening. Imagine giving that exact bloated roadmap a magical button.
Okay, a magical button.
Yeah. You press it, and it instantly writes the deployable code for everything on that list. Every disjointed feature, every random idea just instantly pushed to production.
Which, I mean, that sounds incredibly dangerous. If you
Yeah.
actually deployed all of that without any kind of filter, you are not building a product anymore. You are just creating chaos at light speed.
Spot on, and that is exactly what we are going to explore. We are looking under the hood of a massive inversion in the tech world right now.
A total flip.
Exactly. Building things has suddenly become the easy part, and because building the software is now, well, effortless, human focus, has quietly become the most expensive commodity on the planet.
They really have.
So we are going to pull apart exactly how this shifts what we build, why the biological hardware limits of your own brain are now your biggest bottleneck, and how the entire concept of a software team is fundamentally changing.
It is a massive shift.
It is properly wild stuff. So let us get into the most immediate impact of this inversion. There is this new concept floating around called vibe coding,
Vibe coding, yes.
which honestly sounds like something my teenage nephew does while listening to lo-fi hip-hop in his bedroom.
It definitely has that casual, almost dismissive ring to it, does it not? But the technical implications are actually profound.
How so?
Well, vibe coding essentially refers to using artificial intelligence to generate functional code by just describing the desired outcome, or even just the general feel of the application.
So you just talk to it.
Right. Under the hood, you are using large language models to parse human intent directly into an abstract syntax tree.
Oh, wow.
You are no longer writing the syntax, compiling, searching for a missing semicolon for 3 hours, and debugging. You are simply directing an outcome in natural language. And the model translates that into functional blocks of code almost instantly.
It is like the AI is acting as a genie lamp. You rub the lamp, you ask for an app that tracks your fitness, automatically orders your groceries based on your caloric deficit, and boom, it just appears on your phone.
That is the promise, yeah.
But the hard part is no longer rubbing the lamp. The hard part is knowing exactly what to wish for without accidentally ruining everything else.
I actually think the genie analogy is a bit too magical, to be honest.
Fair enough. What is a better one?
It is more like hiring an overeager intern, one who works at absolute light speed, but has zero common sense or business context.
Ah, right.
If you do not provide rigorous strategic constraints, that intern will build exactly what you ask for, regardless of whether it actually serves your users or makes any financial sense at all.
Because the AI does not know your business model.
Exactly. The model lacks the capacity to tell you that your idea is terrible.
Which leads directly to this phenomenon the research calls feature vomit.
Yes.
Yes.
Feature vomit.
Products are losing all focus because adding new capabilities is just so effortless. Instead of the whole toddler in a candy store analogy, which is a bit played out, it feels more like building a Swiss Army knife that has 400 blades but absolutely no handle.
That is a great visual.
Right, you cannot even hold the thing to use it because it is just bristling with useless attachments. But hang on, let me play devil's advocate for a second here.
Go for it.
Is getting to a prototype faster not always a net positive? I mean, surely speed is good.
Not if you are running in the wrong direction. Faster is actually worse if you are accelerating towards a cliff.
Okay, that is a very fair point.
This brings us to a crucial distinction in product management that we have to rethink entirely. Build to learn versus build to earn.
Unpack that for me.
Well, in the past, because software engineering was incredibly slow and very expensive, companies tried to jump straight to build to earn. They needed every line of code to eventually generate revenue just to justify the massive salaries of the engineering team.
Right, because you had to justify 6 months development cycle to the board.
Exactly. You could not afford to build something just to throw it away.
Right.
But now, because a cost of generating code is plummeted to near zero, we need to completely shift our mindset to build to learn.
So building just to test the waters.
Precisely. Rapid prototyping should be entirely about discovery. It is about testing assumptions in the market, putting a rough version in front of actual users, and finding out what actually resonates. It should never be about shipping garbage faster just because the AI allows you to hit deploy. Strategic focus, figuring out what actually solves a user problem, is now the paramount skill.
And there is a really fascinating psychological trap here, too. I was reading about this in the notes.
Oh, the validation loop.
Yes. It is a very human trait. People absolutely love sharing their ideas for validation. We all want someone to pat us on the back and tell us our idea is brilliant.
We do.
And artificial intelligence provides that instant, frictionless validation. It says, yes, I can build that for you right now. Here's the interface.
Right. It agrees with you immediately.
Exactly. But the execution of that reality, making it actually survive contact with the real world, is what matters.
The AI basically acts as a mirror. It reflects our excitement back at us without providing any of the healthy friction or critical pushback you would get from a seasoned human engineer.
Right. A good senior developer will look at your request and tell you it is rubbish.
Exactly. They'll say, no, that breaks our entire database architecture, or that completely confuses the user journey. The AI will not tell you that your feature idea is completely misaligned with your core product value.
Yeah, just writes the code.
Yeah. That judgment, that heavy lifting, still rests entirely on human shoulders.
Well, let us talk about those human shoulders for a minute, because they are carrying a terrifying load right now. Since building is so fast, we're seeing this massive trend where everyone is rushing to build everything themselves.
The custom build trap.
Yeah, people are bypassing established, off-the-shelf software and just spinning up their own custom solutions for everything. Which brings us to the next massive pitfall. Maintenance.
The hidden tax of all software engineering.
There's this brilliant anecdote we pulled for this. A developer spent 2 whole months building custom software for their AI agent.
2 months.
2 months. They meticulously crafted this bespoke interface perfectly tailored to their exact workflow. And then, a very short time later, they realized the maintenance was just completely overwhelming.
Oh, of course.
They had to constantly update the code for third-party API changes, handle the server hosting, debug endless edge cases they never anticipated.
And it just becomes a full-time job.
Exactly. They ended up chucking the entire custom build in the bin and replacing it with simple, sustainable, off-the-shelf tools. So we are using advanced artificial intelligence to build massive bespoke systems, only to realize 2 months later that we absolutely hate maintaining them. Which, yeah, is exactly as terrifying and perfectly human as it sounds.
It is the classic build versus buy dilemma. But it has been accelerated to a blistering pace because the initial barrier to building is just gone.
Right. You do not need a team of engineers to start.
Exactly. What we're seeing is that product management work, specifically the builder type of work where you were just assembling custom features, completely fails without a clear path to user adoption.
Right.
You can build the most elegant custom integration imaginable with your AI tool, but if you have to force people to use it, and then you personally have to maintain that code forever, you have built a massive liability, not an asset.
Wait, so if I am understanding this right, it is like you have used your AI intern to build a gorgeous 10-lane highway out to a deserted island.
That is a great way to put it.
The engineering is genuinely impressive. The asphalt is super smooth. But if nobody is driving across it, what is the point? And eventually the highway is going to crack, the weeds will grow, and you are the one who has to go out there and pave it all over again.
Spot on.
Yeah.
And that is where the concept of choosing platforms over custom builds becomes so crucial. A platform is an environment that makes teams more capable rather than just a product that enforces compliance.
Okay, yeah.
When we talk about simple solutions winning out over complex custom builds, we are really talking about a concept called investment stewardship as habit.
Okay, unpack that for me. Investment stewardship as habit. That sounds incredibly corporate. Is that just a fancy boardroom way of saying do not build stuff you cannot afford to fix later?
It does sound like corporate jargon, I know. But it is actually a deeply practical philosophy for engineering teams. Engineering return on investment is not a neat mathematical formula you calculate at the end of a financial quarter.
Right.
It is a continuous daily habit. It is the practice of building confidence in the long-term impact of your work. When you choose a simple, sustainable platform over a complex custom build, you are exercising good stewardship.
Give me a real-world example of that.
Let us look at a day-to-day workflow. If your team needs a way to track customer support tickets, you could use AI to build a custom ticketing system from scratch in a weekend.
Sure, easily.
But good stewardship means realizing that next year, you will spend 20% of your engineering hours just fixing bugs in that ticketing system instead of improving your actual core product.
Ah, I see.
So you buy the off-the-shelf tool. You preserve your team's energy for the hard problems that actually differentiate your business.
That makes heaps of sense. You want your smartest developers solving unique business problems, not figuring out why the custom webhook they wrote 3 weeks ago suddenly stopped talking to the database.
Exactly.
But hang on, this raises a huge question for me. If the AI software can output infinite features, and these off-the-shelf platforms are robust enough to host them all without breaking a sweat, what is the limiting factor? If the machine does not break, what actually breaks?
The human operating the machine breaks.
Which brings us to what I reckon is one of the most fascinating concepts in this whole exploration, the 20th watt.
Yes, the 20th watt. It is crucial to understand this. The human brain operates on roughly 20 watts of electrical power.
Just 20 watts.
Yeah. It is an incredibly efficient biological machine, but it has hard, immovable limits.
Right. Because artificial intelligence can scale endlessly. You can spin up 1,000 server instances in the cloud and process complex data all night long. But my brain still needs 8 hours of sleep, a decent cup of coffee, and occasionally just staring out a window for 10 minutes to function properly. We cannot just buy more mental RAM.
And that biological limit is colliding head-on with infinite software scaling. The AI drastically boosts our output. It can present a product manager with 50 fully coded, distinct feature variations in a single hour.
Which sounds amazing until you have to look at them all.
Exactly. Our human judgment rapidly declines with cognitive fatigue. Decision fatigue is a very real biological process. Reviewing those 50 prototypes depletes your 20 watts very quickly.
Yeah, I feel tired just thinking about it.
The 20th watt concept highlights that the real modern skill is managing your focus. It is knowing exactly when to stop before your decision-making degrades into making terrible strategic calls.
Because apparently that is where we are now. Our biological hardware is basically throttling the AI software. We have successfully outsourced the coding, but we cannot outsource the exhaustion.
That captures the dynamic perfectly. Our value in the tech industry has shifted entirely from the act of doing to the act of deciding.
Doing to deciding.
Yes. In a world where the physical act of typing out code is cheap and abundant, protecting deep work and human focus becomes the absolute most critical asset any company has.
Right.
If your key decision makers are suffering from severe cognitive fatigue because they are reviewing hundreds of AI-generated prototypes every single day, they are going to greenlight bad features. They're going to contribute to that feature vomit we discussed earlier.
I was looking at a great real-world example of this in the notes. Lenny Rachitsky, who is a highly respected product leader in the space, he lives what is described as a demandingly chill life.
A demandingly chill life.
I love that phrase. It sounds like an absolute oxymoron, does it not? But it is actually this fascinating, highly strategic approach to his day. It is entirely built on obsessive focus, relentless standards, and the highly disciplined ability to say no to almost everything.
He practices what we might call defensive living.
Yeah.
To maintain high-quality decision-making, you have to fiercely protect your cognitive load.
How does he actually do it in practice?
It involves ruthless calendar blocking. He batches his decisions, blocks out uninterrupted hours for deep work where notifications are completely disabled, and he treats his cognitive energy like a depleting health bar in a video game.
That is brilliant.
Saying yes to a new feature request is easy. Saying no, especially when you know the AI can build that feature for you in 5 minutes, requires immense discipline. Lenny's approach proves that when code gets incredibly cheap, human focus gets incredibly expensive.
Yeah.
You have to curate your attention as rigorously as you curate your actual product.
So, if individual human brains are maxing out at their 20-watt biological limit, the final piece of the puzzle we need to look under the hood of is how we actually organize groups of humans to handle this new reality. Because the old corporate structures surely cannot survive this kind of speed.
They absolutely cannot survive it.
Yeah.
AI completely removes the traditional handoffs between corporate roles.
What do you mean by handoffs?
Think about the classic software development lifecycle. A product manager spends weeks writing a specification document, right? Then they hand it over to a user interface designer.
Yep.
The designer takes a week to create a mock-up, then hands it to a front-end engineer. The engineer spends a month writing the code, then hands it to quality assurance for testing.
It is a literal assembly line. Very industrial revolution. You do your one small part and pass the widget down the conveyor belt.
But artificial intelligence collapses that entire assembly line into a single prompt.
Well,
A single product manager or designer with the right AI tools can now generate a fully functional, deployable prototype in an afternoon. This forces organizations to reshape themselves entirely.
they have to.
You no longer need massive, siloed departments passing Word documents back and forth. You need small, autonomous, high-agency teams who can move from an idea to execution rapidly without asking for permission from 3 different vice presidents.
But I have to push back here because I have worked in corporate environments. Are companies actually changing their structures, or are we just slapping AI on top of old corporate bureaucracy and expecting miracles?
That is the million-dollar question.
Because usually when a company rolls out a new tool, measuring adoption just means some middle manager is counting how many poor souls logged into the new portal this week.
Your skepticism is completely warranted, and it touches on a massive point of failure for most enterprises right now. Artificial intelligence adoption completely fails when it just adds more work to the existing pile. If you give a software team a brilliant new generative AI tool, but they still have to go through the exact same 6-week bureaucratic approval processes to get their code reviewed by a separate security team, you have not actually increased their velocity at all.
You have just made them wait faster.
That is exactly it. You have made them wait faster. Companies must measure capacity, not just tool usage. Are your teams actually able to achieve more meaningful business outcomes, or are they just generating more digital paperwork?
Right.
The core idea here is that the design problem with AI right now is organizational, not technological.
The tech works fine. It is the people and the legacy processes that are fundamentally broken.
Yes. The challenge is no longer getting the large language model to write better Python code. The challenge is designing company workflows that make the AI usable, trustworthy, and effective within real human teams. And we are seeing the market react to this reality in real time.
Yeah, let us talk about that market reality, because there was a very telling corporate move we uncovered. The chief product officer of Anthropic, which is one of the premier AI labs building these massive foundational models, stepped down from the board of Figma.
Yes, Figma being a massive design software company.
Right. And the consensus is that it signals this rising concern that AI labs might directly disrupt traditional software companies. But why does that actually matter to the person listening right now? How does an AI model threaten a drawing tool?
It matters because it is a clear indicator of overlapping territories and the collapsing assembly line we just talked about.
Okay.
Think about it. Figma is where designers draw the user interface. Then developers look at that drawing and write the front-end code, like React, to make it function.
Yep, that is the standard workflow.
But the new AI models from companies like Anthropic are getting so incredibly good at generating front-end code directly from a simple text prompt, or even just a rough sketch on a napkin.
Oh, wow. So it skips the middleman entirely.
Precisely. If the AI can instantly build a custom, perfectly tailored workflow interface just from you describing it, the entire middle step of meticulously drawing it out in Figma becomes potentially obsolete.
That is massive.
Why pay a monthly subscription for a design tool if the AI Labs model generates the coded user interface directly? The traditional software as a service business model is under serious threat here.
That is a fundamental change to how the industry operates. So how do traditional companies survive this? How do they adapt when the ground is moving underneath them like that?
They have to look to the emerging AI growth playbook.
The AI growth playbook, what does that look like?
It relies entirely on small, lean teams using AI to automate their growth and experimentation. Instead of a traditional structure where you hire 50 people to run complex marketing and product campaigns, you have a high-agency team of maybe 3 people.
Just 3.
Just 3. And those 3 people use AI agents to do all the heavy lifting. They identify triggers, execute campaigns, and measure outcomes.
And writing the instructions for those AI agents is a whole new discipline in itself, is it not? You cannot just give an AI a vague goal like, hey, increase our user engagement this quarter.
No, absolutely not. It will fail.
You have to focus on clear triggers and concrete outcomes rather than giving it rigid procedural steps. I was reading a great workflow example about this. If you are running an e-commerce site, you do not write a script that says, send email A, wait 2 days, send email B.
Right. That is the old way of hard coding it.
Yeah. You have to tell the agent when a user abandons their shopping cart, which is the trigger, Your goal is to recover the sale, which is the outcome. You figure out the best way to do it based on their past purchasing behavior.
That distinction is absolutely critical. If you give an AI rigid, hard-coded steps, it will follow them blindly, even if the context of the user changes completely.
It just marches off a cliff.
Exactly. But if you give it a clear trigger and a desired outcome, it can adapt this approach. Maybe it offers a discount code to one user and simply sends a polite reminder to another.
It learned.
It adapts. But again, zooming out, it all comes back to the human team. AI boosts the individual, giving them superpower-level capabilities, but it still takes integrated team workflows to build actual, functioning products that survive contact with the real world.
So the team still matters.
Oh, more than ever. A single developer with an AI assistant can build an impressive prototype in their bedroom. But a cohesive, strategic team is required to build a sustainable business.
It is absolutely fascinating. We started with the idea of a magic button that builds everything on your bloated roadmap instantly. And what we have discovered is that the magic button does not actually solve your problems. It just amplifies your lack of strategy.
There's a perfect summary.
If you do not know where you are going, getting there faster is just going to lead to a spectacular crash.
The primary constraint of the tech industry has permanently moved from our hands to our minds. It is no longer about how fast we can type syntax. It is entirely about how clearly we can think.
So here is a thought-provoking question for you to take back to your desk. The next time you are staring down a massive feature request and you are feeling the pressure to just say yes and let the AI generate the code to get it off your plate, take a step back. Ask yourself, are you building this because you strategically should or simply because the AI makes it incredibly easy? Because if it is the latter, you are just feeding the feature vomit. If you want to keep exploring these tech trends without having to sift through endless daily updates, keep your dial locked right here on Vocal Technologist. Catch you next time.
Spoken Tech for your ears.